So we're replacing the doorknob and lock set on the front door, and I got a little bit ahead of myself. I didn't hit record, so you can't see me pulling the deadbolt out, but it's exactly the reverse of the one that's going in, and it's just 4 screws. But you see me pointing to that little circle in the center there. You need to make sure that that is lined up in the center of the deadbolt lock hole, because that is where the deadbolt's going to go through, and that is what's going to use the key mechanism to turn that in and out, or turn that open and close. So we're just gonna put these back in here real quick. Don't worry about using a cordless drill. That's exactly what I would use, because quite honestly, you gotta get this stuff in there snug. And we're just gonna tighten this in there real quick. And let's see here. Yep, we're snug. And then what you can do to test it out, honestly, I just found this out by looking on the Kwik Set directions, but you can just take a screwdriver and stick it in that center hole right there. That's the one that's got to be lined up in the center, and you can just twist it counterclockwise and clockwise. And if you need to make an adjustment, there's an adjustment on there as well, and that comes in the instructions. Lucky for me, I didn't have to make an adjustment, so I'm not going to show you how to adjust it, but the directions are pretty well explanatory. And actually, if you take the one out, putting the new one in is pretty self-explanatory as well. But here's our exterior of the deadbolt. And you can actually, they make these now so you can use the new keys that come with it, or you can key it to your old keys. We're going to use the new keys because I think it's just time to replace keys. But let's put that on there. You can see we're holding that in, and you can see that center hole now, where I don't even know what the actual term for it is. We'll call it the key shaft, but here you go. You can see the lock that's going on the inside. And there's 2 holes for the screws that go in there as well. And these are going to be long screws because they're not going to screw into the door. Remember, they're going to screw into the threads on the outside portion of the deadbolt mechanism. So you're going to have to hand start them, and you're going to have to line it up. And I know my hand's in the way here, but you can see the 2 holes left and right. And don't tighten one of them. Make sure you get them both in there kind of loose. And this is going to take a second. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to adjust it, and I'm going to get the other screws started in as well. And you got to start them by hand, like I said, because quite honestly, it's a little hard to get a screwdriver in there, and you start angling that screw, and it'll go in there, and it won't be threaded, and you'll have a loose mess going on in there. But here, give me just a second. I'm gonna put that screw in there. You got to hold the outer portion of the deadbolt lock against the outside of the door. Hold it snug and tight while you get this screw put in from the inside. See if I'm left-handed. You got to watch out. You got to watch me here. So sometimes you got to look at things upside down in order to get them to work, right? And sometimes you just got to get in the way of the camera to do it. So yeah, I'm gonna loosen it up a little bit so I can pull this thing out and make some adjustments. I loosened it without taking the threads all the way out, so the locks don't fall out of the door, obviously. Come on, Don, get that thing done for us here. And there we go. We get it in with the screwdriver. And again, I put it in with a screwdriver because honestly, I don't want to strip anything. And sometimes my cordless drill has a little bit of too much torque to it. So I just put them in by hand here, and we'll be on our way and ready to start with the actual doorknob and handle that go on the exterior here in a minute after we test these out. And there we go, we got a working deadbolt now. So now what we got to do is take the old doorknobs off. Again, 2 screws, and pull those things out. Be careful, by the way, all these things have just a disgusting black grease on them. You're going to get grease all over your door, but you can just use a pick to pull that plate out, and the whole locking mechanism comes with it. And then honestly, if we're just going to put the new one back in, it's going to use exactly the same holes. They're already lined up for you. So this is obviously made to replace. If you're putting this in a new door, you've got to have this stuff drilled and bored out for you. And you're going to have to do a little shimming probably and things like that. But luckily for me, this stuff is all going in exactly the same way the old stuff came out. Again, there we're going to make sure that the that center that the key shaft or the knob shaft has to go through is going to be exactly in the center of that bored out hole for the doorknob. Remember, this isn't going to be a doorknob that you twist. This one's going to be a thumb pressing trigger, if I can use that term. So you'll see here when I put it on, it's going to be a completely different looking doorknob. There you go. You can see there's two holes, one on each two sides there that for the screws to go in, long screws. Push it in, make sure it gets flush, and it'll just sit in there, and then you're just going to have to get the other side. And again, we're going to do just like we did with the top. We got two long screws. You can see them there. You have to line up that doorknob, I don't know what, drive shaft if you want to call it that, and then get those two screws lined up in there and started by hand again. Okay, so what you got going on here is the shaft that comes out of this, the doorknob shaft that turns the locking mechanism, is C-shaped. So you're gonna have to make sure you got it facing the right direction. It's not just gonna stick in there anyway, and you can see I figured out here. And then what you're gonna have to do is start by hand the two screws that go in there. They're gonna be long shafted screws as well, and you're gonna have to hold the doorknob from the inside and the door handle on the outside, because as you push against it, you're going to push it out, and if that thing falls, you're going to hate yourself when you've scarred your brand new door handle up and you haven't even used it for the first time yet. So be careful about that. Hold on to it. You're going to use pressure on both sides. I'll be honest with you, the hardest part about this is after you get the first screw in there started is getting that second one lined up, because you can't see where it's going into. So leave that first screw as loose as possible, and once you get it started, you'll find it, you'll figure it out like I did here, and you can just hand thread it back in there as far as you can go until you can get your screwdriver on it. But I chose to just hand tighten these as far down as I could, because I don't want to put the cordless screwdriver or the other one in there and scar up my doorknob. There you can see a little bit what it looks like. It's really not that difficult. It's just getting that that second screw lined up. And now, of course, I got my hand in the way, but you can understand what I'm doing there. There we go. And again, you're holding on to both sides of it to keep them pressed into the door, so you don't push anything out and it doesn't become lopsided. There we go. Looky there. And we'll give it a little test here. Yep, closes all the way. That one thing you want to check is that that piston, if you want to call it that. You got to make sure it goes all the way in, or you're going to need to adjust it, because then you won't be able to get the door open once you close it. So there we go. And let's give it a little test. Open and close. Okay, locks very smoothly. Unlocks very smoothly, opens smoothly. And don't forget to try it from the outside as well. You don't want to get out of the house and then try and come back in and you can't get in your house. And yep, it's nice and tight. There we go. And we're all set. If you want to know the time frame, I was watching the Cowboys game today, which came on at noon my time. So it took me the first quarter, and then it took me halftime. So you're looking at about roughly 20 minutes to do that whole thing. So it's not hard. Again, if you're using a brand new door, you're going to have holes drilled in it and those types of things. So hopefully this helped you. If you did, give it a thumbs up. We'll catch you on the next one. And I'm putting in the description below where you can order this set on Amazon, or a bunch of other sets as well. You can get them anywhere, but if you want it delivered to your house, no fuss, no muss, it's on Amazon. It's the same price as you find it at Lowe's or at Home Depot, any place like that. But have a good one.